Alright guys, so we got the 65 Mustang here. We're going to start taking it apart, which I already did. I started taking the wheel off and I got the turn signal switch here loose. And this all has to come out, so we're gonna begin to do what we have to do here. I need to get this harness out. I'm going to de-pin the harness here if I have the right tool for it, which we'll find out shortly. One of these got to fit, or in theory, at least. Well, it's none of those. It's always the one you're looking for that you don't have. We got to have it though. That'd be the one. It's enough playing around. All right. Let's get that off. That off. And the bowl. I don't know why I'm filming this. Actually, because there's really not a lot for you guys to see here. Now, let me get the bracket off under here. I guess that's what editing is for. Stuff came out. That's what's holding your column. Whoops. Oh boy. Oof, we don't need that, right? All right. There she is. And as you can see, here's your steering shaft, which is one piece with the box. This was not a collapsible shaft, which is why they're extremely dangerous if you get into a hard front-end collision, because this can and will become a harpoon and spear you. So, not cool. That's all going to be changed. The question is how, or what would be the best way to cut this guy? Question. I'm thinking I may just cut this right here. I'm gonna take that, there's a cover under here. I know you guys can't see much, but I'm kind of talking out loud. I'm going to try to take this cover off that we've got under here. Actually, just a dust cover. If I could get to the bolts on it, get it out. See how much room I have. There's two. think there's 3 holding it. There's supposed to be 3, there's 2. All right. All right. And that's the cover, which is well worn. Okay, now what I'm thinking is, what if simply go under there, cut that out with a die grinder. Feasible, right? Possibly. It's possible. All right, guys, so we got some more work done on this Mustang, mostly removal and mocking up some of the new components that are going to go in it. Now, this kit that we bought is very expensive. All right, it's almost $3 grand. It's you know, it comes as a complete kit. A new steering box, shafts that you need, universal joints, hardware, and the column itself with the motor already built to it, okay? So, a couple things I want to talk about here. First of all, I want to show you where we are. This is usually the old box. Now, I did not film all of this because it's really not easy to film and get good footage of it. I tried and I didn't like what I saw, so I didn't bother to go any further with that, but I'm going to walk you through it regardless. The shaft and the box on these old Mustangs is one piece, okay? So, in order to take this out, what we're doing especially, has to be cut. So I was able to do that pretty easily. It's not a hardened steel shaft, and this Matco air saw right here, and as Mike would say, not a sponsor, but this little air saw has saved me on a number of occasions. It's a fantastic tool, works great. I was able to get in under the by the firewall, you know, outside the vehicle, and slice the shaft, and then just snap it off. This old one, this is going to go back. It's a core. It's going to go back to the company we bought the new one from, and they're going to make it into this. Okay, so they're going to cut the shaft down to length, and then they're going to mill it and make it a D shaft to fit a collar like the new setup has. Okay, so now on to some other stuff with this setup. We ran into a problem when I was mocking this up, because we have a hole here that has no threads in it. That's no good. So this box is going to get put back into its box for shipping, sent back. They already have a new one coming out to me, which is good, but not thrilled about the fact that, you know, it came that way. That was missed, I guess, during the rebuild procedure for some reason or another. And I'm not willing to put a bolt, a through bolt and nut on that. I'm going to put what it's supposed to have. So that's going back. And I wouldn't do it on my car. I'm not doing it on the customers. So that's that. What's next? There's some other stuff here with this kit that I want to talk about. As you saw, that shaft on the original box is one piece. On the new setup, it comes with a collapsible shaft. All right. This all has to be assembled. This is the plate that goes on the firewall with a bearing. Once this is in position, you will tighten this down and it will lock the bearing in place in the correct position. Nice universal joints. This is the part that goes to the box. Okay. So I'll show you this later on, but this is basically how it goes. It slides on here. You got some locking nuts on set screws. The instructions tell you to just bottom these out on the shaft. I don't like the instructions. I don't like the idea of doing that. That's not safe. They're not dimpled in any spot because they have to be adjusted. They realistically, what I'm probably going to do is drill through one side of this when I mark it all out, so that this goes all the way through and bottoms out against the other side. And then this set screw is shorter, so I'm not going to have to worry. It will not touch the other set screw across. But I want to make sure that I have a solid connection. And if you notice, also on this part, the same thing. And that is also going to get the same treatment. So let's move on. Okay, so here's the column marked up. It is not tight, but it's in. This is a battle. Okay, I had to remove the emergency brake handle and some other miscellaneous stuff underneath here to make room so that I can get, I'll see if I can get you a better shot, but it's tight under here. All right, the motor sits underneath the dash in that position. You utilize the original bracket as I showed earlier. That's in. I'm not thrilled with it, but it's in. And what I also noticed, which I didn't like, is, I don't know if you're going to catch it from this angle, but I'll zoom in here a second and I'll show you. I don't know how it's going to come across on camera, but if you look at this turn signal switch, it does not look flush. Okay, and this is out of the box. This is how it came. And I saw that and I didn't like it, and I said I'll address it later, see what's going on. It's easier to work with when it's mounted than it is on the bench. And I don't want to put it in a vise, obviously, to damage the powder coating, so I just kind of laid it in. And I took a look here. I grabbed my, let me see if I can actually get you guys a shot. Show you. Right there, okay? So your handle's going to go and screw in there. You can see there's a nice little opening. But if I go to this side, okay, this is the best that I could do with lighting, okay? You can see that the threads are hitting. Let's do this. That's better. Okay, let's try that. All right, see that? Those threads are not clear. All right, so here's my new handle. And I cannot possibly get that in there, okay? It's in the wrong position. So what I noticed, and again, I'm doing my best here with lighting, so forgive me. This is not easy to try to film, but I'm doing my best to show you. Let's do this the easy way. Here's the old switch. Okay, here's the old switch. This is the piece you're looking at that has to have the handle threaded through, okay? For your signal switch, just like that. All right. This part came assembled wrong. This is not pushed in all the way. So what they did was they cocked the switch, because this is just flimsy, these are just flimsy plastic, okay? So they will give, even if it's not centered, all right? And that's exactly what's wrong here. So I grabbed an Allen and I took this apart already, just to make sure nothing is broken, damaged from the misassembly on it. All right, and I left it like this to show you guys so that I could get it on camera. Because if anybody's thinking about going out and buying this, and this is tight, if anybody's going to think about going out and buying one of these columns, well, as usual, buyer beware. I've seen a lot of good things about this. I've never seen any complaints. There's not a whole lot of videos out on this. There's one or two that I found, and they're not great for the installation. Here you go. Here's your piece, and don't know how well you're going to see this, but inside behind this aluminum part here, you have a steel piece behind that. This has to go through that steel hole, the hole in the steel piece there, and it was not centered, and it was cocked. So now I'm going to try on camera to push this back in the right way, and I'm hoping there's nothing wrong here where it's misdrilled. But I wanted to get this on camera because with anything that I do here, and I show you guys, I'm trying to be as transparent and honest as I can. And like I said, I'm not getting paid for this, I'm paying for this, okay? This is a customer vehicle. Yeah, it will go in. It was not pushed in right, it was cocked and just thrown together. Okay, so that was installation error. I can now get, I believe I can now get this in. Yes. Yes, here we go, okay. It will fit. All right, so now I just gotta put the screws back in here, and we should be all right. This was installation error, and it's not something that should have been done by, especially by a company that's doing some insane modifications to these columns to get them, you know, functional and shipped out. I only hope that everything else on here was assembled properly, you know, lengthwise, cut right, motor-wise, that it was assembled properly, and yeah, I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with the quality control of this at all. This is not something that should happen on a unit that costs this amount of money. So no, not happy at all with what I'm seeing so far. And I even called them today. This is, you know, in the process of working on this thing and mocking things up, I gave them a call to ask a couple of questions about the unit and talk to them about the steering box issue. And I was basically told everything I need to know is in the instructions. Well, the instructions they give you are garbage. And he says, not those instructions, the instructions on my website. Well, tell you what, the instructions on his website, he says that they tell you specifically to do this and do that. They do not. I read through them 3 times. The things that I'm running into problems with here are not in the instruction manual, and there's stuff on here that I can't show you because it's too deep under the column for me to really get a camera and get a good view. But so underneath here, under the column, underneath the dashboard, it's very hard to show anything that I want to show you. But that motor hits, like I said, against the brake release, which is not good. I have to relocate this. Which he claims is in the instructions. It is not on the instructions that I found. Maybe there's a set on there that I missed. I don't know. If this motor can be clocked, okay, and that's where it shows it's supposed to be. The video that I've seen shows it in the same position. However, it's very, very tight. There's a spring there for the clutch because this clutch setup on here has a Z-bar. It's not a cable. So the spring is up top, and if you clock it up too far, it hits the spring, and if you clock it down too far, it hits the brake release. No matter what you do with that brake release, if it's in position where it's stock location, it hits. There's nowhere to put it. I've tried for about 40 minutes to figure out a way to move it over, move it. There's no way it hits. So I'm going to have to modify that and either make brackets or whatever I have to do to clear the motor. But the motor is not going to be laying on the spring when I let this car out of here. That's absolutely for sure. And it's not going to be hitting the brake release either and interfering with that. So overall, the motor assembly, I mean, I don't know if they could have put a smaller one on here. If they could have, they should have. That's, you know, at least that's my thinking on it. It interferes. It's modifications are required here. The other thing, as I mentioned before, is that flimsy bracket that holds this thing in place. I'm not thrilled with that, and I'm going to look and see if there's a way that I can reinforce it. If I can, I'm going to do so. I don't like the fact that it's got such a heavy unit on that small bracket that's flimsy, and you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm just not sure how happy I am about that whole thing. But that's the way it's designed, and I'm going to see how it is when I get it all assembled and working. But so far, I'm really not thrilled with this setup. I'm honestly not. I mean, I think that it's a great idea, but I think that it should have been gone about in a different way. And I definitely think the quality control should have been looked at a little deeper, because it's just not fantastic, in my opinion. That's my initial thoughts here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this on. This is the coupler for the steering, for the wheel, and I want to just make sure that this actually sits on here properly while I'm here. Just seems to. Make sure that it actually releases the switch, which it does, and I'll show you guys that. I'll get a shot of it here. Okay, so if I turn the switch, it engages, turn it the other way, engages and shuts it off. So yeah, okay, that works. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Nothing interferes or hits, which I'm happy about. So that's part of the battle. Wasn't happy to see that switch like that, like I said, but you know, I know everybody makes mistakes. I just think for the price of this thing that those kind of mistakes should not be made, and if they are, they should be caught way before they hit the door to come to us. It's just extra time for me to settle and you know, go through problems that shouldn't be there. The other stuff, like I said, if you guys are going to buy one of these kits, check everything before you start installing it. Make sure fit is there. You know, things do fit. What I did find also is, if you see, like on the D shaft here, this is fine. But when I had this one and I started to play around with this, I found that things did not fit. There was damage on the shaft on the end here where it has to go into the other coupler, and it did not fit. Okay, this was damaged. So I had to clean all this up, and I mean, it's a tight fit, which it's supposed to be, but it did not fit. All right, so go through it. Anytime you're doing something like this, I would highly recommend that, because once you're in the vehicle, you have things mounted in the car, it's going to make it 10 times worse to try to do anything like that. Always check your finish on stuff, your fitment for anything you can, and go over everything, bolt holes and such. All right, start checking all that stuff. So make sure that there's threads where they're supposed to be. It doesn't matter what you spend nowadays, guys. That's the problem. You could spend $100 or $5,000, and you just don't know what you're going to get till you get it, and you have it in your possession to check physically. So my honest advice is to verify everything you can, and don't get burned by putting everything together. The problem here in this situation with some of this is that in order to see if that column is actually going to fit in the car, you have to remove the box and the shaft. There's absolutely no room in there to try to, you know, to try to see if it's going to fit. Obviously, you can't just move it out of the way. You have to have it out of the car. So we're in deep right now with this, and it's not, you know, not to say that it can't be done or it's not going to work. I think it'll work. I just think that it could have been done a lot better, especially for the money it cost. So, you know, the thing that's nice about this is that it will allow you to not have to worry about power steering fluid, lines, pump, you know, belt, pulleys, all that type of stuff that you're going to need to convert it over. You don't have any mess under the hood of that stuff. You don't have potentials for leaks. You don't have potentials for multiple failures in parts. You know, you got a 5-year warranty on this thing. There's good points to it, for sure. It's variable assist. You could change the feel of the steering, you know, to your liking. So it's got benefits, but I just think it could have been better. That's my opinion. Part 2 will be coming up. I was going to film this as one video, but it's not going to happen because I only have at this point, I only have what I have here to work with. So I'm going to try to film more of it, and we'll go from there. But right now, this is all I have to share. It's my thoughts on this thing, and you know, like I said, I just think it could have been done better. We'll see how it turns out. I'm hoping that the thing turns out really well and it works really, you know, really nice. But you know, I don't know. I mean, if I had to recommend the conversion again, would I recommend this? I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just say just put regular power steering in the car and use the, you know, the hydraulic stuff and be done with it. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to hold off on that opinion. I'm going to see how I feel about it after this thing is back together and in working order, and then I can make a judgment on that. But if you're going to do it and you're going to go for this setup, make sure that make sure everything is right before you start installing it and tearing the car apart. This guy knows that the car is filler work for me. This is not something that I'm going to be on every minute of every day. So, you know, he's cool with it. If he needed this car back in a week, you start running into getting jammed up, because now you have a power steering pump that's got to be shipped back, shipped out, all that stuff, and you know, whatever other things you're going to encounter on the way here that we don't know yet. So there's variables. That's all I got for now. See you guys next time.